Don't worry. Okay. Well, hi. Hello to everybody else. You're just chatting with JT. You're trying to fix it. Perfect. Well, your written English is very good. So that's good. So hopefully you can figure that out. If not, well, hopefully a different day or soon. So welcome to class. Today we're going to talk about stress at work. Um, do you know anyone who isn't stressed at work?
My maybe almost always stress happened in the work, but maybe some position, I can say,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I'm not sure, but I suppose in some position job, they just, rent their name or position or their, kind of license, and they
Mm-hmm.
get money from that position.
Yeah,
In that case,
exactly.
it's so stressful, probably. Mm.
Well, it depends on your job position too. I mean,
Right.
if you're working in the very low level, I mean, sure, you'll have pressure from the managers or their bosses or their bosses. Um, but I mean, I'm a little 50-50. I don't really know who's actually more stressed, if it's the CEO or the president of the company or the
Mm.
people in between or the bottom, because everyone depends on someone else. You need the CEO to direct the managers and the bosses, and then you need the bosses and managers to direct the people who are lower. Um, so it's a little bit of everything. And so I think everyone has this level of stress. There's always pressure. Do your best, do it perfect, don't make mistakes.
Mm.
So I think in general, you're right. There is a lot of pressure. I would say more pressure than stress at work. And so there's just some ideas and thought processes and ways and how we can kind of make that stress a little less. I mean,
Okay.
obviously, it's still going to exist, but it's how to organize your thoughts, how to prioritize, and so you feel more comfortable. All
Mm.
right. So Ken, you're a teacher, you said, right? Well, you're a teacher, assistant teacher, or something like that. Do you feel very stressed at work?
Yeah, sometimes, and because I'm not a kind of amateur teacher. I'm not amateur, but not so mature teacher to make, I can say, lesson plan or also how to teach. Actually, it's kind of not only the teaching knowledge, but also how to be communicate with students is the kind of difficult as difficult task. Also,
Mm-hmm.
student and is up to students actually. Also, but
Mm-hmm.
university level maybe curriculum is not so tight. Maybe, but until the high school level, teacher have to follow the curriculum of at the education ministry. In that curriculum
Mm-hmm.
often is so before curriculum changes, teacher have to prepare for that because they are not familiar with that new curriculum. So such
Mm-hmm.
things, yeah. Also, talking about Japanese teacher, Japanese school has its own system, like sports circle or brass band circle. It's not mandatory. Some school it's mandatory actually, but
Mm-hmm.
usually not mandatory. But many students participate that circle. But it's circle is almost like some circle is almost like a professional circle, or usually teacher have to take care of them, including Sunday. Sunday is a
Mm-hmm.
sports match day, and after school time, teacher have to guide or watch them. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's not counted a job, so they cannot get any salary from that. But
So it's all volunteer.
yes, but almost kind of obligated volunteer
Okay.
kind. Yeah.
I've also, I mean, tell me if this is correct or not, but I actually heard that I think it's I'm gonna sound like in probably a not smart American at the moment, but it's either in China or Japan. I actually think it might be China.
Mhm.
Did they have to go to school on Saturdays?
I don't know sure about China, but in Japan, Sunday and Saturday is a school day off. But
Okay.
that these 2 days, that sports circle, sport match, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
Yeah.
happens. Also, some team, uh, practice in the Saturday and Sunday because it's a
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
day of they can get a lot of hours to practice. So
Exactly. Yeah, that happens in the United
the
States too.
time, yeah, on Sunday or Saturday as well. So it is becoming a problem in Japanese society. Before that, teacher just accept that volunteer work.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
nowadays, many teachers suffers from kind of blackout, not blackout, burned out.
Breakdown, burnout. Okay.
I don't
They're
know, maybe some teacher died, but
yeah.
not counted of days from the overworking because that
Mm-hmm.
job itself doesn't count. You know, is not counted to uh,
Right.
working time. So that's so
Yeah, that wouldn't be very nice, to, oh, you have to do this, but you won't get paid for it. That's not a very good situation. We did talk about this a couple of weeks or a couple of classes ago about, maybe some Japanese people feeling pressure to stay at work until their boss leaves or to do extra work to stay there. And,
that
um,
such thing is happening among Japanese schools too. Kind of structure problem or consciousness problem in Japanese society. Yes,
interesting.
kind of peer pressure thing is very strong here.
Isn't that ridiculous? Like even here, I know there's a lot of pressure to be perfect. It's to wear the perfect clothes, to look perfect, have the perfect makeup. For women in my my area. Even for men, men all wear whenever they go out. The typical Spanish man will wear
Mhm.
a button-down shirt with a collar. Dress pants or slacks that we call them, sometimes a sweater depending on the temperature. And so they have to look perfect all the time. And I know even in the States, like sure, when you get dressed up, you want to look good. But there's a lot of pressure from society.
Right,
And that's like I keep telling my students, it's okay to not be perfect. You don't have to speak English perfectly.
right.
In order for me to communicate with you, that's the most important part. And so it's changing all of society, and I just feel like it's just incorrect. So,
Yeah.
okay, good. So actually, sorry, can I just want to talk to Jayati? Is that how I say your name?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So is your name Jayati? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's Jayati. It's correct. Yeah.
Perfect. Good. And where are you from?
I'm actually from India, but currently I'm living in London.
Oh, okay. So you're a little bit closer to me.
Where are you?
Fantastic. I'm in Spain right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's great.
So good. And Ken is in Japan. I don't know if you understood that, but Ken is in Japan.
Okay.
So
Okay.
perfect. Well, we're glad to have you here. So basically, actually, why don't I ask you, what about stress at work? Is there, well, if you're living in London then or England, what what are you doing? Are you studying or working?
Actually, I've recently moved to the UK, and actually, I got married, and my husband works here. So I
Mm.
just came
Is
here
he
last.
English?
No, no, he's also an Indian.
Okay.
He's a software engineer.
Okay.
So right now I'm not doing anything, but I am planning to do my master's very soon from here. So I've
Okay.
also taken admission in an university.
Fantastic. Back
But
to school.
I can tell you that in India, I used to work. I used to work as an engineer,
Mm-hmm.
and at that time, I worked there for about 3 years, and I used to feel really stressed out because
Okay.
like I was in software, and it was like there was so much pressure, and I used to stay at office for about 13 14 hours on an average
Wow.
each day. But and the problem was that I mean, to be very honest, my manager was not very good at planning, and
Okay.
we always had less time to do more work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to feel really stressed out.
That's understandable. Like I said, today we're going to talk about how, when you're feeling stressed out, the best thing is to organize. And if you don't have a good organizational base and you're okay, do this, do that, and it's not organized, that's chaos. I mean, that doesn't work. So, okay.
Yeah.
Well, very good. So thank you for sharing that. As far as me and stressed out, I don't think I really get stressed out at work. I just have a lot of things to do, but not very not too stressful, which is good. What I'm going to do is actually, I'm just looking for my presentation here for you. It's good. So JT, you can read today. We might start with you just because it's your first day. And so perfect. So coping with stress at work. Like I said, this is the main topic for today. And so I'm just going to go down here. And JT, I'd like you just to read this first paragraph, okay?
Sure, yeah. Are you stressed at work? Does it seem like nothing is going right and there is always more to do? Let's talk about ways you can deal with these kind of situations. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's kind of like a cute line that that we use. So very good. Thank you. Any questions so far? I mean, do you have any suggestions, or do you just want to wait and see what we discover in this presentation today?
I think I've heard the kick back and relax, but what is the difference between sit back and kick back?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, I got it.
Kick back. Yeah, no. I don't know. That's actually a really good question. So kick, I mean, it's when you move your leg to hit something like a soccer ball or football or whatever. How would I describe that? I don't. It's the same meaning. I can tell you that. JT, do you have any suggestions for me?
No.
Okay, that's okay. Let me see. Kick back.
I think I picture the image of, since I'm American, usually men do the, put the foot on the desk.
Right.
That's a kickback.
That's a put your feet up.
Okay, sorry.
To put your feet up. Basically, I've actually looked it up online, and both are just to relax and rest. So it's the same.
I see.
But it is kind of funny that you asked that. Ken's really good at asking me questions, so that's good. Okay, so yeah, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So what I'm going to do now is move down. So Ken, yeah. Okay, so perfect. Ken, would you read this for us?
Okay. First, you have to identify the issues surrounding your stress. So ask yourself, are you the only one who can do the tasks? Can you ask someone to help you or do the task for you? What's the most important?
Okay, good. There are more. But this is just a good introduction to, okay, first let's diagnose this problem. Let's, break it into parts and go little by little with this. That way, for example, if there is someone else who can do the task, which we'll see later, ask them or ask if they can help you or even do it for you. Okay. Start with the most important. I think that's kind of the biggest, is start with the most important things, which again, I'll look at a little differently later. For now, I just have a couple more questions, which I'll read is, do you have a deadline? Does it have to be done by a certain part or point? Which it goes with the most important. Okay, anything with a deadline. Can you multitask? Again, this is another topic in which I will look at a little later. So, any questions or anything from this part? No?
No from me.
Okay, perfect. So back to JT. This is a little bit long, but if I go like this, you can see all of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Would you like to read this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Set realistic goals. Look around you. Look at all the things on your desk. Prioritize. Once you get organized, everything will be easier. If you know something is impossible, try and get help with it. You can ask other coworkers or even your boss for advice. Going to someone who has more experience will also help you in the long run.
Okay, perfect. So, like I said, organization is the key. And so if you're not organized, everything will be very chaotic and nothing will go right. So, yes, this is the most important. Prioritize, okay? Set realistic goals, okay? Maybe if you have to do something from start to finish, a whole new project or a report or something, and normally it takes you 3 days, don't tell your boss that you will give it to them in a day and a half. Okay, so be realistic. Maybe give yourself an extra half a day to work on something because you know you're going to be very busy with other things. So it's really just take a look around what's going on. And then, like I said, diagnose it from there and go little by little. Okay. Let's see. Towards the end here, it says going to someone who has more experience. Ken, what is that called? Going to someone who has more experience.
Mm-hmm. Going to someone who has more experience will also. I think to ask somebody who has more experience about that.
And what is that called? Do you remember?
Call? Sorry, what do you mean?
Yeah, what is that called when someone, who works at your job or work, and they have worked there longer than you, they have
to mimic shadowing.
No, like another week prior. Yeah?
Seniority.
Seniority. She wasn't even in class, Ken, and she got it right. Good job, JT. That's 1 point for you today. Perfect. So seniority. Ask someone who has more experience. Say, hey, what did you do when you were in this situation? Ask for advice. Ask your boss. Again, your boss should or normally does have seniority. Okay? Perfect. Any questions or suggestions from this part? No? Wonderful. So we're going to move down. So Ken, this next part is going to be yours. Oh, wait. I'll read this because it's shorter. Okay. So how to get others to help you. So here are some questions. Okay. These are just some ideas. So can they make phone calls or send emails? Now, obviously, it depends on the project, on whatever you have to do. Is it paperwork? Can they help fill in paperwork? Again, it's a tedious task. It takes a long time. So if they could do it, which it's not difficult, but it has to be done. Okay? See if that could happen. And can they organize files or sort through paperwork? Again, to help you save time, especially if they're not busy or they don't have anything that needs to be done urgently. Okay? So any questions here? Again, there are other ways that people could also help, but these are just some ideas. Ken, do you want to ask me anything?
So who is they on this content?
A good question. They is a singular or plural person who also works in your office.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So basically, this is one of those times in which we use they, but it could be in a singular sense. Can he or she make phone calls? This is when I think we've briefly talked about this before. It's when we use the word they, and it could mean, like I said, a singular person or just in general.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. It's kind of like when we say it's the impersonal you. In order to get a good grade at school, you should study a lot. I'm not directly telling you, Ken, or you, Jada, to study a lot, but I'm saying in general, if someone wants to pass their exam, they should study a lot. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's just a different way of saying that, okay? Perfect, perfect. Any other questions? No? Okay, so Ken, it's your turn now. Oh, you get a shorter one, but that's okay. All right, so Ken, when you're ready, you can read this, okay?
Okay. Meetings. Make sure you hold meetings when necessary. Meetings are helpful when other opinions are important. If you only need to tell employees information, send an email. This way you will save time and others' times too.
Okay. So yes, meetings are important. They're really, really good to get everyone on the same page so everyone knows what's going on. But is it really important that everyone get together physically, or can they just read the information at their desk? So this is another way to save time. You know, don't stress about having a meeting every Friday. You can say, hey, you know what? I'll send an email this week.
Right.
Okay. I know. Have you ever heard? I've seen things in the movies and such, and it says, "Well, that meeting could have been an email." You know, it's if you're not going to have a meeting to understand what other people think or their opinions,
Mhm.
then what's the point?
Hmm.
Why do it? Have you ever been in a situation like this? I never have been, fortunately. But do either of you have any experience in this situation?
Yeah, I have been in this kind of
Okay,
situation.
well,
It used to
so what
happen
happened?
all the time in my company, and there was no sometimes there was no need to hold meetings, but as the meetings were scheduled, so they would happen, and it was such a waste of time.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's like, well, why do this? You know, I have things to do. You're pressuring me to work but now I can't, and you're taking me away from my desk and my thought process and everything like that. So how do you feel when you finish the meeting and you have to go back to work?
Exactly.
Because it
And
distracts you.
yeah, and most of the time the managers who used to hold the meetings, they would leave early, and we used to
How do
stay
they leave
back.
early?
Yeah, that was the case. They would always
That's a
leave
little
early after the
ridiculous.
meeting. They would leave, but we had to stay back and complete our work.
Well, that's really motivating. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that terrible experience. And Ken,
Mhm.
do you have any experience with this?
Sometimes kind of I not direct my position is not so responsible position, so not like so, but sometimes I think this kind of meeting happens among Japanese organization too, and also academic congress, sometimes it's a bit worth of time, but it's necessary to not necessary, but you need to step up to climb a ladder of the kind of university or academic world. It's kind of a variation thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard sometimes some Japanese, especially I don't know the current generation, but sometimes people person just close he or her eyes. Seems like he or she's considered focus on the listening. Kind of, I think, could be an Asian thing, you know, like a meditation. They just
Mm-hmm.
close their eyes, but nobody knows whether they are concentrated on that, just sleeping or something like that. So,
Interesting. Well,
and
that too.
and sometimes I heard, the meeting, that maybe if it's not recorded, no, maybe people misunderstood what they are talking about after that. But sometimes to prevent that, sometimes people dare to send the email to, keep a proof what she say, what I say, what such among organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, like you said, it might be better to just have it written down. That way you can look at it later as well if you didn't understand something very well, or in the next meeting, or later in the day, you can talk to someone else about it. So there's a lot of just things you can do if you do just send an email. I think maybe people feel more important when they have everyone come together because they're, time is money is what they say. And so if you have a budget, for example, you need to be careful with meetings. Maybe don't have meetings because it takes time away from people's work and their job, and they're getting paid for that time. So yeah, make sure it's important, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. So it's not as stressful. Also, if you start the email like on a Monday and you keep adding to it before you actually send it to all the employees, then you can have all your information there. And hopefully you won't forget anything. So, perfect. All right, very good. Any other questions or comments before we continue? Okay. Well, JT, I'm going to have you read this one. You get all the long ones today. So manage your time.
Yeah. Be sure to control your work hours. Remember, you can't do everything for everyone, especially in one day. If someone else can do the work or offers, let them. It's impossible for you to be everywhere at every moment. Try and multitask when possible, but only when you know you are able to do both tasks correctly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And when multitasking, it depends on how and what you're actually doing multitasking. If you're on the phone and let's say folding a piece of paper and putting it into an envelope to have it sent, that's a little different. But if they're, both they're tasks in which you have to think clearly about both of them, maybe not such a good idea. Okay, and also to recheck your work before sending it or handing it in, whatever it may be. That way you can double or even triple check that it's okay. All right, so again, once you hand something in, it should be good, as perfect as it can be. And so you want to make sure there are no errors. So do be careful when multitasking, but it can save time. Maybe you're just on the telephone, but you need to go to a different department to ask someone something, or you need to go physically somewhere. Take your phone with you if possible. Just walk through the office. Those are the kind of multitasking things that are okay to do, I think. All right. Any questions or comments about this? Have you had to multitask at work? And how have you dealt with it? No multitasking?
No, I'm not good at multitasking, I think.
Okay.
Especially
All right.
this multitasking, it's and really difficult to fit with because Skype message comes and or even though I was out, smartphone message or such kind of thing, I'm not good at it to deal with it actually.
All right. I think I'm actually pretty good at multitasking. So that's what I can say. But anyway, yeah, it obviously depends. If it's something mental and physical at the same time, then it might be okay. But apart from that, maybe not. So very good. So Ken, just go down here. And you can read, oops. Oh yeah, actually you can read the prioritize and then I'll move down so you can read the other parts, okay?
Okay. Prioritize. Look at what is important or not important to help you decide where to start. Below is a list of how you should label the tasks in order for you to understand where you should begin your day.
Okay, so do you want to read these? These are these are the labels that you can think about.
Okay. Not urgent, not important. Urgent, but important. Not urgent, important. Urgent, important.
Okay, so basically in my mind, this would be like the first thing to do. Things that are important and urgent, obviously. And the last would be the not urgent and not important. Okay?
Yeah.
So what happens here? We have urgent, but important. And then here is not urgent and wait. Did I do that right? Hold on. Urgent, important. Not urgent, important. Okay. Yes. So the difference here is the urgency. This one is urgent and this one is not. But they're both important. So we obviously should work on the urgent
Yes.
and the important first.
Yeah.
All right. Well, actually, the most important is the urgent and the important. So this would be number 1, I'd say. Number 2, not urgent but important would be number 3. And the last, this one.
The second option will be urgent and not important, right?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if maybe I had done that wrong. I think I did. Urgent and important. Oh, yeah, because it's the same one as this one. You're right. Okay, yep. See, I was multitasking and this sometimes happens. So, actually, I wasn't I wasn't looking properly. That's why I had the but here, the word but, and so I deleted the not. So, yes. So let's redo this. So this is 1, urgent and important. Now, yes, now this is my question. Which one do you do here? How do you decide between these two? Because one is urgent but not important. And then the other one is not urgent, but it is important. Which one do you do first?
I think I'll go with urgent, not important, because I think urgent, it has something to do with the time. I mean, it needs to be done immediately, irrespective of its importance. So I'll go with that.
All right. Ken, what do you think? Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, same as me. So urgent, not important, and then not urgent, important, because urgent issue usually, urgent or it could have do so.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think I agree that the urgent obviously has something to do with the time and then to do the important. Or maybe work on something that's urgent for a little while, do the important thing for a little while, and then go back to the urgent. So you're kind of splitting your time between the two. And yeah, then the not urgent, not important. Maybe if you could give this task to someone else to do, because it's not necessarily super important for you to do now, but it, eventually does have to get done too. So perfect. I have, oh yes, procrastination. Okay, so watch out for procrastination. So, procrastination. We've all talked about procrastination before. So, JT, why don't you go ahead and read this for us, okay?
Yeah. Watch out for procrastination. These are the 3 main reasons people procrastinate. They don't know how to do it. They don't like whatever they have to do. They are unsure how to approach the task.
Okay. So, what do you think about this so far? Okay, so these are the 3 main reasons people procrastinate. Do you agree, disagree? What's your experience with procrastination? Because that also is important here. Anyone? Ken? JT? Experience? Are you procrastinators or not procrastinators? Maybe we should start there.
Yeah, I'm a procrastinator. So maybe.
Really? Really? Well, I'm shocked. I'm not a procrastinator. Well, we'll talk about that. Okay, anyway, so Ken, okay, so you're a procrastinator. Do you agree with these 3 reasons or not? Or do you have other reasons?
Yeah, I think all 3 are, yeah. Yeah.
Good. You're procrastinating on answering my question. Is that what's happening?
I don't know how to do it, but these 2, make me procrastinate.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose if you don't like it. Well, what kind of things do you procrastinate with? Because I mean, I did do a class on procrastination a while ago. And we did ask the question, is it still procrastinating if you don't have time to do something?
Yes, that's right. Totally.
Because in my case, for example, today I've realized I have not sent my schedule for July to Thomas. And so I need to do that. And it's the 20th of June. So I didn't purposely procrastinate, but I also don't exactly have enough time to make sure everything is correct before I send it to him. So is this procrastinating?
Sometimes it happened to me, I know how to do dishes, but I just procrastinate.
Yeah, dishes are terrible. All right, good. And JT, do you have any comments about this part?
No, I agree with the reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, and all three apply to me. And if I don't know how to do something, I'm just scared of, even starting it. And I just keep delaying it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if I need to write a long email to someone explaining something, and sometimes I'm not sure, like what kind of sentences to use, so those things I tend to procrastinate all the time.
Exactly, yeah. I think it's more like if you don't feel like doing something and you can wait a little bit, that it doesn't have to be done now. That also kind of pushes it back a little bit further.
Yeah.
So it's it happens. It happens to everybody. So good. Let's see. And you don't know how to approach it. If it's kind of like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Where do I start with this? You're just, okay, I'll just do it later. Just do it later. Don't worry about it. Just relax. Don't stress. So there's a lot when it comes to stress at work. And, procrastination is something that's relative. I'd like to know how many people in the world are procrastinators. I'd like to know. So anyway, that's about it for oh no, it's not, that's not it, what I have for today. So can you read these, right? So I have JT read the ending here.
Okay. Overall, deal with the important, urgent tasks first. Let others do not as important or easier tasks. If needed, take work home or work later, but not more than needed. You don't need to work. You don't need work to interfere with your personal life.
Very good. Do you agree or disagree with taking work home?
Like in my office, it was not an option to take work home. But
Okay.
sometimes I used to stay back at office till 11 at night, and those times I thought that it would be better if I could take some work home. But from my friends, I have heard, who had the option to take work home. From them, I had heard that it is not a good thing to do, because if you have the option, then you will be more pressurized, and the managers or the supervisors will put more pressure on you, because they know that you can also work from home. So I think it was a good thing that we didn't have that option.
Yeah, exactly. And also I think if France recently just passed something where I think they can only work like 35 and a half or 37 and a half hours per week. And they have a work email, but they're not allowed to check the email outside of working hours. So it helps them disconnect and actually then work better.
Yeah.
I think that happens too, whereas, if you're working at work, you're working at home, you never really disconnect and you're in this constant
Exactly.
stress, this constant bubble of things to do. And so when you go back to work the next day, you're not rested. You are still stressed. You're like, okay, I still have to do this. I have to deal with this, that, and the other thing. And so it's that much more difficult to actually get started and be productive during the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Good. Ken, did you want to comment on this?
Yes, and Another problem working at home, sometimes it's convenient, in this digital world, we can, do homework. But, in a usual traditional company, that homework cannot be counted as a work time. So no salary, volunteer work. Also, because of that, overworking problem happens. Just to get let the workers out of the company doesn't mean the work stopped.
Mhm.
So they have to do that work in their home. So it doesn't solve the overworking problem here. So
Mm-hmm.
mm,
Absolutely. No, and that's what it is. It's like I said, it's the pressure from work as well. And sometimes it's just better if you kind of disconnect and distance yourself rather than bring it home with you. Because it could create problems at home, with your children. You're frustrated with your children because they won't let you work. Or your significant other, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, could also feel like, hey, come on, you're finally home and all you're doing is working. You need to be with that other person too, enjoying that time together. So very, very complicated. So yes. Let's see. So that is about it for today. I'm just going to take a look at the presentations or the classes that I'm going to be doing next. The July schedule will probably be up very soon, hopefully, as soon as I get my schedule to Thomas. Let's see. That's July. Let's go back. I think I might. We're gonna do more verb patterns next week on Monday.
mhm.
Yep, that's today. So on Monday, verb patterns, and then actually, this might be really interesting for JT, just because on next Wednesday we're talking about work transfers. Now, I don't know if this happened with your husband, but maybe if it's the same company that he was working for in India and he got transferred. Did that happen or not?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, he
Well,
has been working here in London throughout his whole career.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So nope, that's good. That's good. So basically, what we're going to do is discuss those things next week, and hopefully, very soon, I will be able to tell Thomas what my July schedule is. It's all finished. It's just I need to finish some descriptions and things. So, fantastic. Any other questions to end for today?
No, thank you.
No.
Okay.
And I'd like to say that it was my first class and I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Good.
Yeah. And
I'd
I
say
look
it's a pretty
forward to joining
typical.
more classes.
Perfect. Well, you're more than welcome. We do have a Facebook page. I don't know where you found us, but we're in the Google Hangouts, obviously. And yeah,
Okay.
we do classes Mondays and Wednesdays. Is it 5 o'clock almost for you right
No,
now?
it's 2:55.
So you're an hour behind me. Okay.
Yeah.
Spain is an hour ahead. So
Okay.
Mondays, I do class at 12. I'm sorry. Mondays, I do classes at 1 o'clock, which means it would be 12 o'clock your
12, yeah.
time. And then Wednesdays are always at this time.
Okay,
Can,
sounds
can I
good.
copy and paste the interface group here?
Yeah, could you, Ken? That would be good.
Okay.
Ken's my IT person here. He will.
Oh,
I
thank
knew
you so
you would
much,
have it
Ken.
ready.
Interface group. So you
Oh
can.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm also the administrator on Facebook, so I'll accept you. Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I'll
go
join
ahead.
the group.
Perfect. Sounds good. Well, we look forward to having you in class as well. Ken is normally here every class. There's very few classes that he misses, thankfully. So it'll be good to have another person in here too.
Yeah, I'll
So-
definitely try my best to come.
Perfect. Well, very good. Well, it was nice meeting you as well. We look forward to having you back in the classes, and hopefully we'll see you on Monday. Okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
nice meeting both of you.
Yeah,
Thank
you too. Well, have a great weekend, everybody, and great rest of the week. And
You too.
yeah, we'll be back
You
on
too.
Monday.
You
All right.
too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.